sometimes.
It's okay.
But essentially, like, an overview of our organization is that we are committed to fighting institutional abuse through direct action. So we do a lot of that through awareness online, and our focus is to do more boots on the ground thing, which is where we met, obviously, organizing the protests in Texas. I would say, I mean, awareness is the first thing. The troubled teen industry is a pretty niche subject. Not a lot of people know about it. And if you say it, it's like some people are like, oh, didn't Paris Hilton go there? Um, but not a lot of people even know how large it is. So I think that's the first step is like we're trying just to connect the dots between like the wilderness therapy programs, how it's involved with UHS, um, the behavior modification programs, and then also through organizing events, which can be from protests. We've also, Jazz will probably mention this, but she kind of got started with this when she organized a town hall meeting to help shut down Freedom Village USA in 2019.
Yeah.
So she gathered survivor testimonies and where Freedom Village was planning on reopening, and she helped organize this meeting that presented people's stories to the community. And once the community found out about it, they were so livid that they ended up calling their local representatives, and Freedom Village did not reopen because of that. Freedom Village was about 40 minutes away from where I grew up. And I realized that like nobody in my community knew what was going on, and they were trafficking kids from California, which is where Jazz is at right now, from and also from New York City, all over states. That's an issue. They move state kids across state lines. But in 2019, Freedom Village was planning on shutting down and moving to South Carolina. So even though it was in New York, Jazz organized the town hall meeting in South Carolina for the community that it was going to be opening up in.
Something that we're trying to do right now is one of the biggest things is that we're trying to encourage parents is do not send your children away and opt for community-based care. So for places like where I grew up, there is no community-based care. There is no resources. And so a lot of us get lost in the cracks of a broken system. And so what we're trying to do right now is create community programs, create community gardens. That's one of the things that we're really trying to do right now. And hopefully eventually have like a hub for parents to come and learn the red flags of these kind of facilities, gain community, and create these safe spaces for youth where there is none. So like how Margaret was saying that we're all over the country, each one of us wants to create a We Win Them chapter where we're creating those resources in communities where there are none. But kind of like, I don't know if you've ever, like if you were growing up and there was ever like a youth center or something like that, something commonly known as like the Boys and Girls Club, right?
Yeah, like
So we would
YMCA.
like to create something, right, something similar to that, but looping in advocacy, looping in trauma-informed care, and essentially just providing a space for kids where, you know, if the court system is like, hey, because a lot of times kids also end up going to these programs through the court. So instead of the court saying, hey, you could choose juvie or you could choose, you know, a troubled teen industry facility, they could say, hey, you could choose juvie or you can choose this like community service kind of vibe where you can come to this space and do things within your community. So like one of the things with the community garden that we want to do is all of the crops that are grown, we want to give to low income communities.
I would say community-based care also looks like educating parents to know about like how they're sending, like how the court systems are involved, because a lot of parents like don't know this information, and educating parents about like mental health in general. I think a lot of the times there's a stigma around having a kid that's depressed or anxious or whatever, and parents sometimes feel that it's safer for them to just send their kid away than it is to come to the community and be like, hey, my kid's struggling with this. Is there anyone else that's also struggling with this?
And it's bridging that gap because, I mean, there are a lot of after-school programs, right? But are they really investing in the youth and in the community, or are they just watching kids until their parents pick them up? You know, so and I think it's important too to like educate youth on their rights, because I grew up and I didn't know I had rights, you know, like I was being sent away to cover up abuse. So I think it's really important to also educate the youth and let them know that, like, hey, you do have rights, and if this is happening, it's wrong, and X, Y, and Z.